Karoline Leavitt is the White House press secretary, and she suffered a complete and total meltdown when she was asked really simple questions, including, for example, why was Donald Trump not at the dignified transfer of the remains of the 4 American soldiers who died in Lithuania? Why wasn't Trump there? Now, we all know where Trump was. He was golfing in Florida. Here is Karoline Leavitt's answer.
Real quickly, can you explain why the president opted to send Secretary Hegseth to the dignified transfer last week instead of attending himself?
Sure. The Secretary Hegseth was there to represent the administration. The president has expressed his condolences to these families, as have I from this podium.
He was golfing. He was golfing. The better question would be, why did the president choose to golf when that dignified transfer was taking place? Now, the topic of tariffs, of course, came up because the lack of sustainability of this scheme is evident. I will mention, just as an aside, that as I am recording, the Dow is down an additional 300 points. At this point, I don't even know what the total is. Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. It's down, it's down, it's down. Now, maybe it'll end up today, but it's just a free fall. And so reporters are coming to Karoline Leavitt and saying, what the hell's going on? What's the off-ramp? What's the end game? What's the goal? And she just says, nobody knows more than Trump. Just trust the guy.
I do just want to point out one thing, that the president, everybody in Washington, whether they want to admit it or not, knows that this president is right when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to trade. In fact, Democrats have long said that the United States of America has been ripped off by the countries around the world. They just don't want to admit it now because it's President Trump who is saying that. In June, I do just...
Everybody knows that he's right. Except, of course, we've been explaining for a year why this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, the MAGA civil war is also growing, including Elon Musk referring to Peter Navarro as Peter Retardo. That's a quote, okay? Not language I use. We're going to talk about that later. Karoline Leavitt was asked about that, and she chalked it up. That's locker room talk. She chalked it up to boys will be boys.
Quick follow-up. There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the...
Might it be slightly confusing for the public to, on the one hand, be told by Peter Navarro that these tariffs are the greatest thing since dragon fruit and sumo mandarins, and then on the other hand, Elon Musk is calling him Peter Retardo? Might that send mixed signals, Karoline?
Message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history. And I think it also speaks to the president's willingness to hear from all sides, that he has...
Listen, we're talking about real stakes here, okay? If these tariffs are the right versus the wrong thing, quite literally could determine, do Americans have retirement accounts or don't they? Do they see their savings evaporate before their very eyes such that they have to delay retiring because of what happens in the stock market? Or is this a brilliant scheme to bring manufacturing and strength and power and goodwill back to the United States? Two different views. Yes, Peter Navarro or Elon Musk. Boys will be boys when we're talking about the livelihoods and retirements of millions or tens of millions of Americans. Stunning. Stunning. Karoline Leavitt also saying that as of last night, there would be a 100, and it's almost cartoonish. Well, I tariff you 11 billion. 104% tariff on China.
Ed, go ahead. As promised.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned the 70 countries or so. I'm curious, though, under what conditions at this point would President Trump talk to President Xi about tariffs?
Look, I just spoke to the president about this, and he believes that China wants to make a deal with the United States. He believes China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that she and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
Now, you might be asking yourself a very astute question. On the one hand, Karoline Leavitt is saying countries should reach out to make deals. But on the other hand, Trump has said that these countries have acted poorly and therefore they are going to be punished. And this stuff isn't subject to negotiation. So how could it be that these are not negotiations, but at the same time, you are saying countries should start negotiations? Well, here's how Karoline Leavitt answered that question.
One being, can you explain the White House's evolution from this is not a negotiation on tariffs to countries should pitch us and start negotiations on
Sure.
tariffs?
As the president said yesterday, Jasmine, both things can be true at the same time. And it is a non-negotiable position that the United States has faced a national security and economic crisis because of the unfair trade practices by countries around the world. As for the president, I have maintained this position. The entire administration has always said that President Trump is willing to pick up the phone and talk. And the president met with his trade team this morning, and he directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to start.
There you go. So everything is true. Yes means no. Up means down. Negotiation means no negotiation. And then finally, Karoline Leavitt getting down and praying at the altar of Trump, saying Trump's spine is made of steel. Yikes.
The president's message has been simple and consistent from the beginning. To countries around the world, bring us your best offers, and he will listen. Deals will only be made if they benefit American workers and address our nation's crippling trade deficits. America does not need other countries as much as other countries need us. And President Trump knows this. He's going to use the leverage of our markets and our country to the advantage of the people he was sworn in to represent. On the other hand, countries like China, who have chosen to retaliate and try to double down on their mistreatment of American workers, are making a mistake. President Trump has a spine of steel, and he will not break, and America will not break under his leadership.
And quite literally, as we listened to that segment, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropping another 100 points. I don't mean while she was reading it. I mean now in real time as I'm recording the show. And she says, this is all going to work out really well. Another 100-point drop. They have no idea how to get out of this. It can be really challenging to find the right learning opportunities for your kids, whether they need extra support or enrichment beyond the classroom or just something fun and engaging to get more interested. You can check out OutSchool. Our sponsor, OutSchool, is an online learning platform for kids aged 3 to 18 with small group live classes and one-on-one tutoring, on-demand courses on thousands of topics. I'm a parent, and as someone who's always looking for more opportunities for my daughter to learn in new and valuable ways, I think what OutSchool is doing is fantastic, something any child could benefit from. Whether your kid likes science, art, coding, music, niche interests like mythology or chess, OutSchool has it all. And what sets OutSchool apart is really the flexibility and personalization. Kids get to learn on their own terms with passionate, expert educators, many of whom hold advanced degrees in what they're teaching. Over 1 million learners have taken OutSchool courses, and parents online rave about the experience. If you want to try OutSchool, get up to $20 off your child's first class or tutoring session for a limited time when you go to outschool.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is in the description.